This is Trophy Gold, a Wizard, Part 2. We've already recapped off mic, so let's just dive right in. You've just were attacked by this individual wearing a robe with a acid spitting insectoid creature in his throat. You defeated him, tossed him into this wall of strange gooey strands, and those strands finished tearing him apart. And there are 3 doors in the chamber, and a 4th door you believe is behind this kind of semi-spherical mass of gooey tendrils, but I'll let you do hunt roll to kind of check out the area better. So I'm going to go around the table and find out what everyone's interested in doing, and then we'll figure out what the scenes and die rolls look like. So Rasay.
Rasei is interested in the door behind the ball because it's the last one that we saw. And we just finished slamming this guy into that giant stringy sphere, so she's going to take a look at that one.
Aram?
I forget, did we search the body of that person with the thing in the mouth?
You did. That's
Okay.
what the gold roll was. There was nothing there.
Got
So,
it.
yeah.
Makes sense. Then I think that since Rasay is checking that door, I will check. I'll just check the one that's nearest to her.
Okay, so then we'll just say like the north door then?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have one to the west and one to the south as well. Esfahan? Or Esfahan?
Spahan.
Spahan.
She is first of all still kind of clutching at the acid burns that that the spider thing spit at her, so she's a little like tending to those in the background, but I think she's hesitant to do any additional searching on her own, considering the thing that just happened to her. I think she's gonna eye that big ball of string though. She's like, look, because we watched it devour that thing, essentially get shoved into it. So she's like looking at it, and like listening to this mechanical breathing, just kind of like taking in the senses of this weird space.
That's right. There's also this sort of like this like kind of mechanical inhalation and exhalation taking place on both floors. Fantastic. And Faran.
I wanted to see what the ball of the tangly ball of sticky, stringy stuff. What kind of effect it's had on the person we pushed into it? Is it devouring them?
That's a good question, actually. Yeah. Why don't we start with that? Go ahead and make a hunt roll, Faran.
Unless I think it's an omen, I don't think I really have a skill that will help. So I guess it's just a single die, right?
Yes.
A 5.
Take a token. You can tell that the pieces of this man who attacked you are being rapidly digested, turned into a slurry, a goo. You're there as well as Fahan, looking into the strands, you said?
Mm-hmm.
You can also make a hunt roll.
Okay. Could I argue the skill of interpretation?
Tell me what you're doing.
I think really she is like closely examining, similar to Faran, the mass of stringy tendrils as they're like dissolving, like watching almost like a morbid interest of like, how is this function? Is this like digesting, or is this some other thing happening here?
That's good. You earned it. Go ahead and roll 2 dice.
Hunt roll 2. 5.
Nice. Indeed, these kind of like seemingly tangled together strands are indeed moving the slurry, the goo, dribbling it down into a pool that you've just now noticed is collected underneath it. So there's a pool of liquid between the door and you that this tangled mass is over top. Rasay, you're there as well. You might get all the final information here because you can't look directly at the door because the tendrils are in front of it. Like you can't reach it, but you can still examine it from afar. So go ahead and make a hunt roll as well, Rasay.
Okay. Can I spend 2 of my hunt tokens to find a treasure behind the sphere before I do?
Absolutely. Let me. I don't have Loom pulled up, but I think that's where I'm gonna get the treasures from. So give me just a moment. I will do that. You can go ahead and make a hunt roll if you wish,
Okay.
or you can just spend your tokens. It's up to you to get treasure.
I just expended the 2 just so I kept track of it, but I will make my hunt roll. And for some reason, I don't seem to be in the same
Die roller.
die roller as everyone else.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the die rolls either, but
I click. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just trusting
well,
everyone.
Okay. Sorry, is it just 1 light die?
Unless you can justify a skill or a piece of equipment in helping you.
Let's see. Pretty sure that ain't gonna help. I have beasts and plants. So I've been thinking all along we're inside some sort of living creature. And so I'm gonna see if that has anything to do with this, if that's likely.
Yeah, I'm convinced. Roll 2 dice.
Okay. Only a 4.
Take your token. Speaking of that pool that the slurry is being channeled to, it seems that it is nutrients for a creature living in the pool. The creature's quite small, maybe the size of your forearm, maybe a little smaller even. You can't get a really good glimpse because of the milky blue water, but you can tell that it's insectoid in nature, and it doesn't look dissimilar to some of these other things you've seen up to this point. But clearly, as it's like kind of rising up to the surface to collect this biomatter to feed off of. I will also tell you, as you are looking at it, Risay, that steady which mostly comes from above, stops. The whole chamber gets very quiet, in fact. And the breathing doesn't resume until you turn away. Aram, you are looking at the north door. How are you doing so?
So are there more tendrils across this door, or is it sort of just?
You can access this door, and it's a similar door to the ones that were downstairs. The kind of,
Dilating.
Sphinctery, yeah.
Sphinctery dilating doors.
Let's see. I mean, I swear I'm being trying not to be crass, but I do have Grease's backpack equipment. So I'm wondering if I could try to lubricate it enough to.
You know what you're doing.
I swear I'm not, but because I have sheer strength and it just pushed me through. So I'm wondering if I could finagle myself.
I buy it. Yeah, I'm totally that. You can make 2 dice. Go ahead.
It's 2 2s.
2 2s. Well, you don't lose your tokens at least, so that's good. But you do encounter something terrible. You do manage to open the door. The chamber behind it is actually fairly small, probably like the size of a bedroom. And kind of, but not like squarish in shape. It's almost like tapered. Like it's kind of wide where the door is and it tapers in. But there's enough of the sort of faint luminous blue glow for you to see that the room appears quite empty. Except when you open it, you can hear, coming from somewhere, maybe up above, the ceiling that you can't quite see in that room. You hear first a rapid skittering of legs, and then you hear and then that's when you lose control of the door and it seals back up. What do you do?
Someone, when I am shunted out of it, I will just call back to the others. There's someone behind this door. I don't know if you heard the laughter.
It was interesting laughter. It was almost like someone who's never experienced evil cackling heard it once and tried to replicate the sound.
And everyone else heard it, or was it just me?
Everybody can have heard it. Yeah.
Okay.
Svean has kind of like a stink eye going on in the direction, and she's like, I don't get what's so funny.
Something tells me that whatever that is doesn't get why it's funny either.
We have many doors. We could, I suppose, we see which ones we can get through then, and go from there.
There's also a door on the west and the south that you have access to. You cannot reach the one behind the tendril wall yet.
I think someone is playing games with us.
I'll start to regroup with the others, but as I get closer to Svean, I'll see the acid burns, and I'll reach into my satchel and say this might help, and pull out sort of just like a very kind of heavily used bar of soap.
She kind of like looks at it with a bit of disdain, seeing that it's heavily used. But she just kind of takes her water skin, splashes some water on it just to lather enough on it, just like stings a bit, like just she's like, well, thank you. The last thing I want is an infection.
Sort of takes it back and gives a bit of a smug smile. And, head over to you said the west. What's the door? Other door?
West and south.
Yeah, I'll go to the west.
The west door opens up as you approach, and you can tell now that this just connects up to the long shaft that you came up here in. You came up through a ladder, but this actually is like a catwalk that goes out over that shaft. And because you can see the blue tendrils that are kind of going up and down the shaft.
She like kind of like throws her hands up in the air a little bit and says, if we cannot decide, fine. And she'll pull out her bag of rune candies to like cast them to see if she can get an omen of which door might be a good way to go, at least to point us in a direction.
You can certainly take a hunt roll, I guess.
Yeah. It's 5.
Well, the room to the north seemed like a dead end. The room to the west is just the shaft, but just a catwalk looking over the shaft that you used to come up here. You can't get to the one to the east unless you have some way of navigating this bizarre sphere and pool with the creature in it. And so the rune candies are very convinced the south is probably the most...
She's like, there, south. We good now.
Rasay pipes up and she looks up from the pool and she says, did anyone else see the creature in the pool?
I saw it.
I caught an unpleasant glimpse.
What creature?
The one in the pool.
It
Some
looks
sort of insect.
Esfahan, I owe you a...
Oh, something terrible. Oh, yes.
I owe you
do.
something
No.
terrible that might help this conversation move along. You see, as you look to that door, there are just a few blue motes of light bobbing in front of the door.
Sven kind of walks over towards it very cautiously, but examining the lights, looking at them.
The
Looking at the
lights
door.
want to go inside you. As you breathe, they move rapidly toward your mouth.
Ooh, I'm going to very hastily use my ward ritual to protect myself from
just
inhaling.
standing back and covering your mouth is fine for now.
Okay, fine.
But there might be more behind that door.
Small problem. Little lights that want to be in you. Don't breathe them. They don't look good.
So at the south door, I would like to do a hunt roll, but I figure he's tried to force his way into these doors before. It's just not worked out. They haven't stayed open. So if there's anything maybe around it, any kind of decor or any sort of like anything within the actual make of the building, if he can sort of like examine it with either with his hands or his, you know, his other senses.
It just opens as you approach.
Oh, okay.
The south door. Inside, at a glance, you see many more of these motes of flickering blue light floating through the air. You see, hanging low from the ceiling to where you can see it from the doorway, what looks like a vent shaft of some sort. And that's where the sound is coming from. But you've heard that in other places, so there must be more of these vents.
Yeah.
Do these motes of whatever it is kind of seem like they're moving with the air that breathing sound implies? Is
no.
Are they just sort of hovering in the air, like drifting, or are they
They
like...
just sort of drift.
Okay.
Perhaps we should cover our mouths as we pass through this place. I do not think that breathing the lights is going to end well for any of us. I'd hate to end up like
him, like looks at the digesting corpse in the ball, like.
Do you have any more of those masks for Ron?
surely cloth will suffice.
Yes, I think a cloth would be enough. I have... Is anyone capable of having themselves covered, or will you need me to cover you?
I can cover myself.
Good.
And yeah, I'll just sort of cover my mouth with a bit of like the collar of my tunic or whatever, or my cape, and I'll just head towards the vent. Try if I need to, I'll use my real ritual to try and pull it off, but I would like to try and get it in there.
Which ritual?
Oh yeah.
What's that?
What ritual?
Yoke.
Yoke. And so you're going to try to pull the vent?
I want to try and see if I can pull access into it.
Oh,
if I can get up in there.
Oh, it's low enough to where as long as you get a boost, you can crawl up in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll look to Ferran and say, give me a hand.
Certainly.
What are you doing right now? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Do we lose Ferran? Or are you still working on your mic?
No, he's good.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Rasay is she's covering her mouth and prepping to go into the room, not really wanting to go wherever the breathing's coming from. She is completely convinced they're in some sort of living creature, and she thinks that whatever's in that nutrient bath is more of the She says, whatever was in that pool looks a lot like what was in that fellow's mouth. Maybe they're parasites.
Maybe this place is a nursery for them.
I don't know. She falls quiet again.
Do I still owe you a treasure, Risay?
Yes, a 2 gold treasure.
Indeed. You find something that the tendrils could not dissolve. A massive drinking horn from an unknown beast, reinforced with silver bands, bearing a pattern of many hands, each clasping the next. The drinking horn is a magic item, though I won't say what it does yet.
Esfahan pulls her cloak over her mouth and is going to step into the room to like survey while Aram is at the vent, looking around the grander space and just see what other details she can discern from here.
Esfahan, go ahead and make a hunt roll.
Okay. Don't see how I have anything that could give me another die, so I'll just take the 1. That's a 6.
Very good. Take your token. And like the room to the north, this one is a kind of wedge-shaped room, not very big. But on the far end, you almost miss it, but you catch it. What appears to be just a snatch of shadow is actually a gap, a tunnel of some sort, or a passage. Risay, what are you doing right now?
I think Rasay's still committed to seeing if there's any way to get beyond this sphere of tendrils to that other door. She has her spear, and she'll try, and if the tendrils are in the way, she'll try to separate them to pass by.
We could just do a risk roll if you want, and you can try to reach the door by pulling the tendrils out of your way. I just need to know from everybody, what do we think could go wrong here if Risay fails?
Think they'll digest her, get tangled up in them and digested.
It's kind of what I
Whatever.
thought too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever that creature in the pool is will not take kindly to her interfering with its food supply.
I'll say that she's digested, and then the thing will crawl inside her body.
I would say that something watching you right now does not take kindly to you interfering with what's in the pool. So, those are all terrible things that could happen, Risay, if you wish to continue. I think this is going to be, you get a light die for your spear, and then everyone can make a devil's bargain as well.
Mean devil's bargain. You drop your newly acquired drinking horn into the pool. You'll have to fish around for that.
Yeah, that's an expensive devil's bargain. I'm going to say, no matter what, you accidentally step on the little creature in the pool and crush it.
I'll go for the obvious one of no matter what, the spear is kind of burned and dissolved by whatever is going.
These are horrible devil's bargains. You could. I would reject all of these.
Okay.
I will say,
And that's good. They should be tough. It should be a tough light die.
I'm going to say devil's bargain is no matter what, that weird little creature somehow connects with you, reaches out to you in some capacity, and you could define the nature of that connection. But yeah.
To be clear, I will define the nature of that
Yeah,
connection.
I figured.
To be clear.
Of course.
Four equally horrible choices, in my opinion. Risay, do you want one of them?
Oh wait, now I sound like the breathing creature.
Uh,
Stop that.
You know, you're right. They're all equally horrible. I'll take the connection. I'll take the connection one. I'll take Aram's suggestion there
Very good. You have 2 light dice, and I think a dark die is
for the
appropriate
spear.
here. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah. So risk 2 light, 1 dark. I roll a 5.
Light or dark?
Light.
Okay. You'll succeed. I'm going to go with... I'm going to say that your spear is not completely dissolved and damaged, but it's only good for 1 more combat. We'll go Breath of the Wild style here. You got 1 more combat with this spear before it just shatters to uselessness. And so, but you otherwise will make it across. And we'll talk about the connection with the creature in a bit. But while you're doing that, Faran, are you going to give Aram a lift up into the vent? Faran, can you hear us?
You're muted.
Trying to get Aram up into the, or help him up into.
Yeah, are you going to lift? Are you going to do that?
Yeah, I just kind of use my hands to give him a boost up.
I think that you can do that. I think the exertion is going to make it possible for the motes to get underneath your covering and try to get inside of you. I know what's going to happen if you inhale one, so I'm not going to ask the table that. However, I will give you a light die for your attempt to cover your mouth, Faran, and I will let Jack make a devil's bargain.
Interesting. No matter what, you have something on you, and it's possibly related to this Sylvia person that you knew, and you realize too little too late that you've lost it in helping Aram to this place.
Interesting. Do you want that, Faran?
I'll take that, yeah.
You've got 2 light dice, and I'm going to put a dark die in there as well.
Okay. 6 light.
Very good.
2 6s and a 3 dark.
You can see the motes trying to get in. They're like hovering and moving toward you, almost insect-like. But they managed to not be able to penetrate the covering. And Aram, you are up into the vent safely. There are no motes in the vent. And let's talk about the vent now. The vent is big enough to crawl in. In some places you can actually get up onto your feet. You can't quite stand up all the way, but it's not perfectly smooth and uniform in size and width. Do you just start crawling where it goes?
Yeah, but I would like to crawl maybe in the direction that I last heard the laughter. So going towards
the north?
Yeah, towards the north.
You don't have to go very far before you reach a crossroads. It breaks off to the west, but continues north.
I'll just do I'll do a quick hunt roll here to see if I pick up on anything and more appealing in either direction, just using my hearing.
Sure.
I imagine it's pretty dark in here.
Yeah.
And I've got persistence as a skill. Could I apply that? Very persistent.
I'm not buying it.
Could I use some grease?
When in doubt.
Yeah.
Very persistent in your hearing.
Exactly. Persistent in my grease usage. I'm rolling nothing but 2s today. That's a 2.
To the west, you hear skittering in the vent, the skittering of legs. Unclear if this is coming toward you or away. What do you do?
I think just naturally based on his history as a tracker and hunter, I think he's just going to try and follow the sound of the skittering.
Okay. As Fayhen, were you going to go into that little passage?
She walks over to it just to like see what she can see down it, but she's not entering it quite yet.
The moats are thicker in the passage by a lot.
Okay. I want to do something interesting. I want to spend 3 of my hunt tokens to accomplish a goal. I specifically want to divine the meaning, kind of maybe through a trance or some like subtle ritual, be able to gain greater understanding of what exactly these motes of light are and what's going to happen if we inhale them. I want to understand what these things are.
Well, to be clear, you only have one set goal right now, which is to
Can you is our hunt tokens only for set goals, or can you just do any goal?
it's just set goals. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The set goal is to
I misinterpreted the text.
apparently, the set, or maybe I did. I don't know.
Maybe you did. Maybe I'm right and you're wrong.
The current goal is to put your hands in the keys.
I don't want to do that yet.
I don't think it has any meaning. Your character has no sense
I have
of what
no
this
idea what that
means.
means.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that means. Let's see. Hold on. Not to actually you, Jason Cordova, but spending 3 tokens allows you to achieve a goal. This is usually a set goal, but can be any goal as long as the players and GM agree.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On the hunt
That
tokens little
that must
sidebar
be
under
that must be new.
that is in the book right there in the
Wow,
hunt
I've
tokens
never played it
sidebar.
that way. Hold on. That's fascinating though.
Right?
Hold on. I
I
promise
never thought I would encounter a rules lawyer in a.
I promise I promise I'm the publisher of this game and I should know this.
I hate to be gaining the reputation as the trophy gold rules lawyer, but
Wait, where is this at?
page 14 on the hunt token sidebar on
I'm
the hunt
dying
rules.
here. Hold on. Hunt tokens are a meta game currency that allows players some narrative control. That's true. 1 token can be spent to find a treasure worth 1 gold. That's true. Spending 3 tokens allows a treasure hunter to achieve a goal. This is usually a set goal, but can be any goal as long as the players and GM agree. I think tokens are gained and lost individually, but you can be pulled to use as a group. I think what this means is, I mean, on its face, I guess that's what it means. How intriguing.
I will interpret whatever ruling you personally want to go with. I'm fine with it. I just
No, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I'm here for it. If you want to spend 3 tokens, I will let you safely navigate the corridor. I think that's expensive, but go for it.
Well, it was also a little bit. I want to also, as I said, understand what these are through omens and like using my oracle abilities.
No, I
as
like
well.
it. No, it's good. Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I'm into it. These spores are they are organic in nature, but also magical in nature. And as long as you hold your breath as you pass through the tunnel, they won't try to enter you.
She makes sure to relay that, as Fayen says to everyone. These are not good to breathe in, as we've said, but I am now certain you only have to make sure you don't breathe them in. So let's not find out what happens if you fail to follow that task. I'm going to look ahead down the tunnel. If I scream, run towards me, preferably. And I'll, kind of like cover my mouth, hold my breath, and like walk down the tunnel, just like very cautiously to like see where it leads.
The tunnel is circuitous. It sort of goes around. And you can tell, indeed, Rasay, you can hear as Fayhen like is basically coming into an alternate way into the room on the other side of that door, Rasay.
Okay.
Let's talk about that room. Rasay, you can open the door. By the time you get in, you see to your right a Svehan coming up out of the tunnel. And you're in this room. The room is dark except for a dimly glowing shape leaned up against the wall. It is a young woman. She's holding onto her engorged stomach. Written on the wall above her, directly above her, is the word keys.
Oh no. Oh no.
You can see that her stomach is actually quite distended. It is transparent. It's so distended, and you can see some kind of gelatinous fluid inside. If you get close to her, she'll startle a bit. Rasay, you are overcome with a powerful urge to eat. The thing in the pool of water, you find your consciousness slipping in and out with its consciousness. You sometimes feel like you're in the water. You sometimes feel like you're in this room with this poor girl. The keys. But always you feel the need to eat in order to feed the thing in the water. You nourish it by nourishing yourself. I want you to take a condition, the hunger. Faran, what are you doing right now?
I think I'm peering into this passage that Aram went into and trying to see if he's all right. See if I can I hear him still moving around there? Is he speaking back to me?
You can hear Aram actually crawling up above you, and you no longer hear that mechanical venting breathing. Aram's presence in the vent makes it stop.
Aram, what do you see?
Nothing yet. I heard something though. Trying to find it.
Aram, if you crawl far enough to the west, you can see that the vent ends and indeed opens up down into the shaft that goes to the first floor. But you don't see what's skittered by.
Yeah, if I feel like I've lost its trail, then I'll go back towards Faran and the others.
You can still keep crawling north.
Now you've tempted me with that. I have to. So yes, I'll keep crawling north.
If you crawl north a bit, the vent hangs right a little, and eventually you find yourself at another vent opening, looking down into the room where Esfehan and Rasay are looking at this young woman with the distended belly with the word keys written over her on the wall. So the three of you are essentially all together. Faran, you can also make your way over there. You have 2 ways in now. What do you all do at this point?
I'll poke my head down, looking over the scene and seeing the keys written over this young woman's body. Does that mean what I think it means?
Aram, I'd like
Do
you
you-
to make a hunt roll as well,
Okay.
because you have a different perspective than everybody else.
Do I have anything that I can add to it now? That's a 1.
A 1. You lose your tokens, Aram. You are aware. Faran, did you go into the room with the keys? Faran, did you go into the room with the keys? So everybody's in that room. From your perspective, Aram, you see something shadowy, tendrily, not quite fully visible, but sort of shimmering in and out of visibility, enter the room with everyone else, and then it gets completely invisible. They're not aware of it. Let's take a 5-minute break. Aram, there's something in the room with your fellow treasure hunters, and it's invisible.
I'm gonna leap down and so I've got to be super cool to be like 3-point land, and I'll put my finger to my lips and just sort of like looking around them very obviously as if like I'm trying to scope out something that's in the room with them. Hopefully they're picking up on the body language, but if they're not, I'll look over at Isfahan and say, keep your guard up.
I have not let it slip since entering this place. This is.
She like looks around like frantically, like, but like now having this communicated. I think she actually jumped a little bit when her arm spoke because she's like, but like looks up at the vent, like, oh shit. She's now like frantically like looking around, seeing if she can discern this thing that Aram's pointing out.
None of you can except Risay. Risay, whatever this thing is in here, it is Mother.
Okay. Um, Rasay is super conflicted at the moment. On the one hand, she's being told to nourish whatever this thing is here. And on the other hand, her core nature is to rebel, since she's a runaway Kingsguard. So she's going to look at this woman and see if the woman herself is somehow nourishing the creature, and if she is, how she might take away that nourishment, deprive the creature.
Make a hunt roll.
I'm reaching for physical dice. Let's try that again. Let's see, hunt roll. I doubt it, but beasts or plants? Silence and tracking won't help here.
I think all combined it might help, so you can make 2 dice.
Okay. Hunt. 2 5s.
Take your token. The answer is no. However, it could nourish. It's not presently. Indeed, the gelatinous fluid inside the woman's stomach would be just delicious. You can also see that there's something else floating inside that jelly.
We all see something floating inside that jelly.
If Rasay points it out.
Okay.
Rasay will say out loud, because this woman's obviously in some sort of distress.
She doesn't seem very lucid, though.
Does this look does this look like a villager?
I mean, she looks human. Rasay is going to say out loud, oh God, I can't believe I'm doing this. She's going to use her spear to cut through the woman and reach into her stomach. The woman dies.
A mercy, she says out loud.
You put your hands in the goo, and the temptation to eat the goo is incredibly high right now, Rasay. Do you resist it?
Absolutely.
We'll come back to
not
that in a
feeding
moment.
Whatever this creature is.
You do pull out, however, 2 glowing spheres. They are each the size to fit perfectly into the indentation in the door downstairs. But there's 2 of them. If you will not eat the goo, if you attempt to resist eating the goo, you have to make a risk roll. What could go wrong, group?
She becomes the spawning ground for more keys.
That was gonna be mine.
Yeah, I was just going to say something along the lines of, the goo has some horrible effect.
Yeah, I kind of like that as well. I'm very into that. So do you have something that can help you resist here, a skill or a piece of equipment?
Hell no.
So then you have no dice currently.
Unless it's keeping my mouth shut because I have silence, but I already opened it to talk about her, so that's
Alex, you can make the devil's bargain.
I think regardless of whether you eat this or not, the goo that is on your hand will begin to itch and worsen over time.
Roll 1 light die for now.
Yeah, I don't want to take the devil's bargain, so I'm just going to make the risk roll with 1 die.
Oh, if you don't take the devil's bargain, you have to roll a dark die because you have no light dice.
Oh, I have no light dice. 1 dark die it is.
Yeah.
Roll a 5.
A 5. Well, you resist eating the goo, so I guess that's good.
But my ruin goes up.
Your ruin does go up.
I'd like to offer a help roll to this mix.
Oh,
yeah.
You haven't had a help roll in a long time.
Yeah.
How might you help?
I think Esfehen, she's very intuitive, realizes that there's some kind of, there's a look on Risay's face that is not good. It does not bode well, and is like looking at the goo in an unwholesome way. And I established actually last session that Esfehen's hungry. She hasn't eaten, so like she's like has this kind of like she almost recognizes this like sudden like pang of like hunger that crosses her face, and she's like, oh no. I think she kind of like runs into like, not like runs in, but like is going to like help try like, like walk over to like put her hands on her and help I'm trying to think of how to phrase this like right, like guide her hands, not like snatch her wrist and like prevent her from putting it in her mouth, but just be like she's coming over and be like, let me help you find what you're looking for. As they said, and all with that motherliness of like, don't do this, but that's what I'm thinking.
If Merwin's okay with the help, you can roll help. Looking for a 6.
Up to you, Merwin.
The help would be an additional light die.
I get to roll a light die, and if it's a 6,
as-
yeah.
Esfahan rolls it.
Um,
It's a light die, and if it's 6, then the 6 is what counts, and your ruin doesn't go up.
I see. If it is not a 6, what happens? If it's not a 6, what happens?
Nothing, but if it's a 5, Esfahan's ruin goes up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it then.
6. Holy shit.
Fortune favors the bold. You do not take a ruin, Rasay, and instead, Esfahan, you have control here. How do you get Rasay under control?
Recognizing this look of hunger crossing her face, she like steps over with a wide gate to like gently grab Rasay by the wrist, kind of like, and like look her in the eyes, and just has a strong look of like, it's a mix of like consternation, but also like the best way to explain it would be like, you're about to touch fire and your mother is just being like, hey, don't do that. But that look of both like care and consternation, grabs Rasay's wrist slightly to like look at the hand, looks at you, and just says very quietly, I'm not sure if the others hear it, hear her, but she says to Rasay, if you hunger, I have things that might sate for now.
Rasay is literally trembling with just the stress of resisting, and she just grits her teeth and flattens her lips into a flattens her lips closed, and she just shakes her head no.
She kind of gives you like a slight nod, but she actually does like reach into her bag and pulls out one of the hard candies of a kind of like a sickening bluish color with a rune carved into it, and she'll just like hold it out to you as just like offering it, like, and she says, if not now, when you need to fight the temptation again.
Yeah, she backs away. She's holding the 2 orbs, but she backs away.
Well, if you don't take the candy, Esfahan kind of like cocks her head, but just slowly puts it back.
Fran, while this is all happening, the body of the keys slumps down. And as she slumps down, part of the wall behind her kind of sloughs away as well, revealing ladder-like handholds in the wall that go up, presumably to the next level.
Look here. A hidden way deeper. As I said before, any hidden route is probably the route we should take.
Aram, you hear the skittering. You all hear the skittering going up the wall, up into the vent, and then the breathing resumes.
Whatever we do, we need to get out of here. Say those keys. And I think when
Set goals met, by the way.
fantastic. When we're sort of considering what to do next, The keys are on the lower level below us, right? Or are they the same level?
Well,
door- the doors
the
that you
one
keys.
door is that you are aware of is down below on the first level.
Got it. With those keys, do we backtrack? Is it worth it? I'm going to take the silence as a no.
Was that to Rasay or Esfahan?
That was just everybody,
I
but
think it's to the
Oh,
group.
everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah.
Esfahan
Okay.
says, "Oh, go ahead."
I maintain we should go in any direction that this place does not want us to go.
How can you be certain it does not want us to go in this direction? It opened up for us just now.
Only because of Rasay's rash action.
I have a bad feeling that it wanted us to do that rash action.
Just kind of like pointing at the sign that says keys, the writing, being like,
There are locks, and the place provided us with a means to open them, I assume.
whoever's here is enjoying what we're doing, enjoying the game they're playing. We either keep
On that
playing
much
it,
we can agree.
we either keep playing it, or we decide to break those rules.
I say we find a way to break this game they're playing with us.
Sounds like a plan to me. And Ram is actually going to reach down. Is the corpse of the woman still like physical? Is it like, or is it sort of like melted away or anything?
No,
like
it's still physical, but her guts have been transmogrified into this goo, which is spilled everywhere.
Yeah, I was going to do something, but if the goo is still sort of like active, I won't do it.
I mean, it's just there. It's not really doing anything.
Okay, then well, my plan was to bring her along in case we needed something to feed the tendrils. So he will sort of take her by the leg and sort of drag her with.
I feel like being gross. Can I spend 2 hunt tokens to find treasure inside her cavity?
Yeah, sure. I'm into it.
I was just going to say something similar. Yeah, I've got a lot of fun tokens I'm sitting on here.
There's probably not that much treasure inside of her.
No,
but I will.
I wasn't thinking inside of her. But...
Interesting. What shall we have in here? I don't know if it's inside of her necessarily,
Sure.
but she does have on her person a silver bowl engraved with golden fish. This is also a magic item. And what's everyone else doing right now?
Rasay is as far as she can get from the body because she doesn't want to be tempted to consume any of it. If she's still holding the orbs, she's going to say all of us cloth glass monkey, but if we split up, maybe the same thing will happen.
I'm sorry, what?
No, not the game.
She says all of us cloth glass monkey, but so if we split up, it may happen again.
What is this glass monkey?
What?
What are you trying to tell us, Rasay? I think I want to look very, very directly into Rasay's face and try to
She says
understand what it is she means.
Cloth glass monkey. She stops when you guys start looking confused, and she says she makes hand gestures. One from her and two moving away from her, but all toward a central point.
I think in Ram's frustration, if it's okay with you, I would like to snatch one of those orbs out of your hand.
She will give them both to you. Are you going down?
Yes. Let's see what's behind that door.
How
Who
are
is-
you
who
going
is going
down?
up?
I'd still say we go up.
I will join you up if the others go down.
Ooh, split the party.
Oh,
Ram, if you venture back down, how are we going to make sure that we do not get harmed by the climb? I don't want to wear that cloak again.
good point. How far was the drop? Like a 10-foot drop, or
From where?
from where we climbed up into the space? Like the
Oh, it was long. It was
Okay.
like, yeah, it was
yeah,
probably
sorry,
like,
I'm like not remembering.
no, it was
details.
probably like 100 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll Ram is smarter than I am right now. So I think that yes, backtrack and say
But you have
that,
two, you recall, you have the sort of like two ways into that shaft, right? There's this catwalk from the room, which you never went out onto to explore.
true.
And then you also have the ladder that goes directly in the middle of the tendrils.
yeah. I'll just try the catwalk then. If we didn't go there.
Esfahan will accompany Aram. Let's
Yeah.
split the party.
Yeah. Party.
So 2 going to the catwalk, 2 going up. Let's go up first with Faran and Rasay. Let me pull up my module real quick.
Can I spend some hunt tokens beforehand?
You
Because-
may. I'm going to keep it simple. You just find like a sack of silver worth however many tokens you're spending.
I'll spend 2. Yeah.
Okay. And let's see where this goes. Right. The ladder going up ends in a significantly smaller round chamber. This is probably only like a third of the size of the 2 previous round central chambers that you've been going through. It's very small compared to those. And it comes up from the floor, putting you right in the middle of it. There are 3 doors, one to the southeast, one to the northeast, and one to the northwest. As soon as you get up there, you hear the whole structure sort of shudders. And you now have a new set goal. At any time, you can spend 3 tokens to safely exit the tower.
That's the goal, is to exit the tower safely.
It's an option more than what you maybe
Mhm.
intend to do, but it is there. Meanwhile, on the catwalk has its own stairway down, spiraling, not a difficult climb, avoids the tendrils. It's a safe way down to the first floor. Do you go
How
down?
did we miss that the first time? She kind of like cocks her head at it. Very strange.
Well, we can dwell on it or we can accept it. I'm going to choose to accept it for now.
Fair. Ram, this door you go to open, this is the one you tried to brute force, yes? The one you claimed to see a melting child behind?
Well, I don't know if they were a child, but I did see a melting face. I don't want to know
Melting face.
who it belonged to. Maybe they have some information as to how to get out of this place.
I doubt it.
They've seen more about this than we have, presumably.
When you get to the bottom of the stairs, there is a thin blue film that you have to peel away. And when you do, though, it puts you on the other side of the entrance to the shaft, right back into the main central first floor, which you can go to, no trouble. Except when you get there, you discover that the door that led you into the tower in the first place has disappeared.
Somehow I suspected this was going to be the case. Still doesn't make it any easier to digest seeing it.
I think it is easier to digest, literally. Kind of just looking at the place around her. Sorry, bad joke.
You are here. You have the key to the one door that you couldn't open.
Yeah.
Do you go and put the key or one of the keys into the door?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put one of the keys in, see what happens.
It dissolves into the little notch, and then the door does indeed open. It's also a sort of small wedge-shaped room. And it's dark. There's enough ambient light for you to tell that the floor is covered in something organic, something red. You're hit with a smell of rot and blood mixing with the pervasive cotton candy sweetness. And there is a hunched shape wearing a blue robe, much like the man who attacked you, in the far end of the room, moaning.
You there?
Who's there?
What do you know of this place?
I'm being punished. I've been placed here in isolation for my disobedience.
What kind of disobedience?
I touched a wizard.
You touched? What do you mean you touched?
Kill me. Kill me.
How long have you been here?
Please.
Answer our questions, then I'll put you out of your misery. How long have you been here?
My name is Stephen Forge. I'm the son of Mia Forge. I've been here, I don't know how long. Weeks, months. I'm an apprentice, and I want to die.
What is this place? What is this, a wizard's tower, but what wizard?
He gets up, and you can see now, under his robes, his skin is melting off very slowly. His eyes hang loosely from their sockets, the face of his skin dripping in fatty globs and actually sizzling and fusing to the floor. He lurches toward you. Meanwhile, on the third floor, Ferran and Risay, what are the two of you doing?
So the tower is kind of shaking up here.
No, it just did it once.
Right.
Presumably it was the door closing up and disappearing. The main
Mm-hmm.
entrance, which Aram and Esfahan have just discovered is no longer there.
Well, from where we entered, which is the which is the door nearest us? Let's see if
Mm.
if that one opens as we approach.
There's nothing to choose between them, so let's just pick one and take a look.
You're muted, I think, Jason.
Sorry about that. Oh, actually, I had that kind of wrong. I have that wrong. Let me retcon what I just said. You actually come up through this ladder, which connects to a short passageway that then leads to the door, which is the southeast door to this central room. So there's really just two doors to choose from, northeast and northwest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's do. Rasay will head over to the north east door. That'd be the closest one.
I'll tag along.
I will tell you both as you make your way through this little chamber that the walls in this chamber are sinewy fibers twisting and undulating in bizarre patterns. Northeast, we said?
Mhm. Are they still blue like the
The walls are still
giant
blue, but they're
sphere?
these sinewy fibers that are kind of reshaping themselves and forming almost like kaleidoscope patterns. As you approach the northeast door, it opens. You can see that there are thick tendrils covering the floor of this little room that it opens onto. The chamber is bigger than you can glance from the room you're in, though. You'll have to go inside to see what else is in there.
Is there a
Okay.
way we can go inside without getting on the tendrils?
It's pretty comprehensive coverage on the floor, I would say. But yeah,
Did you want to? Should we check the other one first?
I don't wish to step onto this matter unnecessarily.
Well, let's find out if it's necessary.
when you open that door, or it opens as you approach, it's a similar room, possibly even the same room. Maybe they connect up or something. But the ground is, again, somewhat uneven, covered in thick tendrils the size of tree roots. But in this one, across the way, you can see another door, and you see two men wearing these blue robes standing like guards at that door. And they're shaking. They're kind of just shaking, and as they stand there, and their teeth are clenched, and they're just like,
Can I cautiously approach them and see if they respond to my presence?
this room is covered in tendrils as well. Are you?
Okay.
I mean, you can still do it, but just, I know that was what was deterring you from the other rooms. I'm just telling you it's the same here. What do you do?
Rasay, we need to find a way to rid this place of these tentacles somehow. These tendrils. Do you have anything that can burn?
Rasay pats down her backpack. She doesn't have a lot left since we left her grappling hook and rope on the first level, but I could probably dig up some flasks of oil and flint
Mm.
if we need them.
Yeah, I can pull something out of. If I pull some flint and steel out, and yeah, maybe you can do a flask of oil, and then we can try and burn away the. I want to see if these tendrils will burn.
Okay.
Clear a path.
They're not too wet.
That's what the oil's for.
Hmm.
Aram and Isfahan. Stephen Forge looks like he's about to suicide himself as he lunges toward you with his melting, searing skin. It's combat. He's only a 5. Very easily dispatched. Nevertheless, how are you vulnerable?
Well, I was talking right to him. He's covered in this melting goo, which I assume is possibly transferable and will cause me to start to also melt.
Yeah, I was about to say that, so I'll say that I am overwhelmed by the bile that's rising in Esfahan's throat because she's nauseous and the smell of this place is just making her freak out.
Aram has a 1. What is your weak point?
3.
3. And Aram, you can roll combat 2. I assume you both have weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's a 5 and a 10.
5 and a 2. No trouble whatsoever. Aram, start the narration.
As Aram is very, I guess, callously trying to interrogate this young man, he starts to kind of stumble forward, and before he can really finish, I think Stephen just sort of thrusts himself towards Aram. Aram instinctively has his cudgel at his side, just whips it out and ducks out of the way, smacking him in the back of his head. But the body of Stephen just sort of tumbles towards Isfahan.
Isfahan, who was caught off guard by that previous opponent upstairs, her hand has been drifting near the hilt of her ritual knife in her belt for a while. That as Stephen stumbles into her direction, she very quickly, with more disgust than mercy, takes out the knife and just drives it up through his lower jaw just as a more reactionary defensive gesture, the blade piercing up through his brain.
He falls down, and around his neck, you can see that he's wearing a medallion. The medallion matches the sign of Mia Forge's blacksmith shop, confirming that he probably was her son. You can take that. It's certainly evidence of what happened to Stephen Forge. You can also roll a 5 gold. Go ahead and roll it, Isfahan.
Okay. $2 gold.
Wow, that's surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. I think he had all of his worldly possessions on his person. The wizard clearly didn't care about that when he was put in isolation. It's essentially just a bunch of semi-precious stones and cash worth 2 gold.
Hmm.
You can split them evenly if you wish.
Yeah, I'll give a gold to Aram if you want one.
Yep.
Cool. Isfahan looks down at Stephen and looks back at Aram and just says, she has a look of horror on her face. And she says, "This. He called himself an apprentice. What is this place? What is happening here?"
Whatever it is, I don't want it to happen to me. We should find the others.
Oh, yes. Yes, we should. We should take that young man's necklace to return to his mother, if we should escape ourselves.
Just take it with caution. It has been around his neck, and his neck has been melting this entire time.
Indeed, when you peel it off, there's a kind of a ripping sound as the skin tears from his neck.
Ugh.
Rasay and Farhan, as long as you spend the equipment to do this, you won't be able to clear the tendrils. But I will tell you something probably just as valuable. The tendrils don't react to the fire. They're clearly just inert or dead or decorations or something. They're not dangerous in any case. They don't move or respond. I mean, they might be a tripping hazard. But...
In which case I will, once we kind of give up on the burning them away plan, I will start approaching these two.
The two men convulsing by the door.
Yeah, I just want to cautiously approach them to see if they respond to me, if they're even aware we're there.
How interesting. Give me a moment. Ah, indeed. As you get close, they throw their robes back and enormous spider legs burst out of their upper torsos. Enormous spider legs that reach and grab and seem like the thing that are actually in control. The two men just sort of dangling like meat puppets. Rasay and Farhan, this is a combat. They are a combined endurance of 9. I would like to know how you're vulnerable, and then please roll weak point, unless you're going to run away, which you can.
I think vulnerable because their reach is greater than we anticipated. You know, these spider-like legs coming out of them can reach further than the human arms would have been able to. So perhaps even though Farhan was trying to be cautious approaching,
didn't matter. Yeah.
And his weak point is 5.
Not great. Rasay, are you doing the combat or are you running?
Rasay has a notch left on her spear and she wants to get the heck out of here, so she'll go into combat.
This is, you can only do the one combat. So
I can only do the one roll or the one,
just the one combat period. Yeah, like you'll last the whole combat, but then your spear is not usable after that.
Right.
And that might be why you're vulnerable even. I don't know.
No, I'm probably vulnerable because I don't have any armor anymore.
Well, there's that basic vulnerability as well, yes. Do go ahead and roll weak point.
Rolls weak. Also, I got a 1.
Farhan, you can roll combat too. Go for it. Looking for 9.
Can I use a ritual to lower the endurance of?
I don't think you have time. I think it's the sneak attack. Yeah.
That's just combat 2, right?
Combat 2.
1 and a 2.
A 1 and a 2. That is not good enough.
Sorry,
Rasay,
sorry,
taking
Rasay.
a hit. Let's get the combat going. Farhan, the legs burst out, and the legs are just like propelling themselves across. You can't tell what the legs are attached to inside their bodies, but their bodies are just flopping around behind. Kick it off, Farhan.
Yeah, I think Farhan just kind of, as this happens, just kind of waves his Morningstar in front of him to try and ward them off, and just backs away as fast as possible, with trying to buy himself some time to face off against them.
Rasay, you're getting hit. I will tell you, you handle your part of the combat. I'll tell you what happens when they hit you.
Okay. Rasay lashes out with her spear to try and deflect some of these claws that are coming at, these spider legs that are coming at her, and goes off of the slightly burned path of the the fibrous floor that we were on,
Mhm.
and trips over some of the fresh fiber that didn't ash.
The
And
the one that attacks you and hits you, it actually tears off the upper half of the person's body and throws that away. And underneath is a writhing mass of whip-like tentacles. The tentacles just go wildly whipping all over the place, and you get lashed by them. They are also coated in acid, so you're taking acid burns in addition to your ruin as a condition. And furthermore, now that this one is just whipping wildly all over the fucking place, it hits twice in the next combat round. And so this is an incredibly dangerous combat now. Every weak point does 2 ruin. Are you running or are you continuing the fight?
Rasay is going to run. I mean, she's going to start scrabbling for the exit.
Rasay, you can give your weak point to Ferran. Ferran, your weak point is now 5 and 1. You get 3 dice still, Ferran, if you want to go for it. As long as you got an armor, you're fine. You can maybe do it.
I do have 2 pieces of armor, in fact.
Be the big hero here. Roll those 3 combat dice.
I'm trying to figure out if I can kind of use my repel ritual in combat to push one of them away and give me more of a chance to take them out individually.
I like it. I'm kind of into it now that you've had a minute to catch your breath and see what's kind of going on. Yeah, I'll give you the ruin roll, or the risk roll rather. Jack, what could go wrong?
You repel yourself as well, and you are flung off this I guess platform or what have you, and thrust back down several floors.
You fall.
You fall, and you meet up with.
Fall back down the ladder.
Oh, you there's like a gap in the floor, and you fall down it. That's horrifying. It's terrible. Do you have a light dive? Do you have a skill or piece of equipment that's going to help you get that first light dive?
I have a skill in rituals.
Okay, I'll take that. Alex, you can make the devil's bargain.
Huh. Regardless of what happens, it's going to wrench the many-legged thing from the corpse. It'll be separating them, and probably the thing that is the legs and thing coming out of it will be less slowed down should it not be killed.
Sure, I'll take it.
2 light dice and a dark die for repel. Let's see if you lower this thing's endurance or this combat's endurance.
3 light.
So no is the answer, unless you want to add a dark die.
Get to re-roll the whole pool.
Yeah, why not? Let's go all in.
2 light, 2 dark.
5 dark.
5 dark. Well, your ruin goes up, so that's not great, but you do lower its endurance down to 8. This is a big mess. Roll a combat 3. Let's see if you can kill this thing. These 2 things.
Seven. No. Oh,
8.
no, that is 8.
It's exactly 8. Yeah, 6 and 2.
But I take a hit as well.
You do take a hit. It would be 2 ruin, but you can mark armor to avoid that.
I'll mark armor, yeah.
But you have the scene, sir. Destroy these 2 creatures.
Yeah, I think as Say turns to run, Ferran just kind of moves into position between them and the door so that she can get away, and his with one hand he reaches forward and one of them is blasted back against the door on the far side, and it's whatever the human husk it was inhabiting kind of falls away, and he just takes advantage of the fact that they're separated and is able to get in close inside the range of these spider-like legs with the other one and just smash into it with his morning star. And although it it kind of scrapes against him, his armor is going to take the ruin there, and then he can proceed from there to the one that's thrown up. He threw up against the wall, and just taking his morning star in both hands, he just crushes it against the wall, and just an explosion of goo and insecty parts.
Your ruin did go up from the risk roll, and I think that's going to be from like acid splash, basically. And so I'm going to give you acid burns as a condition as well. But the 2 guardians are destroyed. Let's pick up with the other 2. Are you going up to the 3rd floor now, Aram and Espan?
Yeah, why not?
Fuck it.
I think you arrive right as you see Rasay catching her breath, Faran covered in fucking goo in this room. There's another room as well that they haven't explored yet. Let's just pick up the scene there.
What happened?
We pushed deeper the way they did not want us to go.
And
This door leads deeper still.
And was being protected.
Mm.
yeah, I mentioned
We have got rid of the guardians.
yeah,
You
Aram
don't.
looks around and sees like the tentacles just sort of lying still on the floor. Oh, good.
This is not a good place. I doubt that going deeper is going to bring us any closer to whatever it is you're looking for. I can make good with an escape. Oh, but what did I forget? Oh yes, the door is gone.
It's the only way out is
Which-
through then.
Which door?
The front door.
What
The
happened
wa-
with what happened with the other door?
We opened it.
And
Espan has a look on her face that can only be described as "fuck you." I'm not repeating what I saw in there, and she just kind of glowers.
This is a place of madness. I say we go through this door, destroy whatever we find, and bring this entire tower down.
I'm less interested in bringing the tower down as much as I am in just getting out, but 2 birds, 1 stone, if it's the case.
There
Do you
is-
approach the door they were guarding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
Oh,
let's say he's gonna stand
it has a
up
lock. It has the little notch.
Mm.
Get another key and put the key inside.
The key dissolves and the door opens. Indeed, the door opens. Let me tell you what you see first. Oh, actually, I have this wrong. Look at me not paying attention to the module. The key does not work. Retcon. It does not dissolve. It fits, but it doesn't dissolve.
Interesting.
We need to find more
I would tell you now
needles.
that you have a minute to breathe. In this room where the door was being protected, there's another door as well. There's the door you came in, there's the door being protected, and there's another door that almost certainly connects up with the other side of the other room that you couldn't quite see. So
Let us go through that door. Perhaps we can find.
I'll also tell you, because I think it's worth pointing out, you haven't heard the breathing vents since you've been up here either.
Oh, I felt that go down my spine just now. Fuck. Okay.
We haven't heard the breathing, and this key doesn't work.
There must be another way through here. Perhaps there is something past this other door.
You've said that about every fucking door we've come to.
And we
Back to more
have
flasks of grease.
got this far.
So, you said that there was a keyhole in the other door in this room?
Yeah, the door that was being guarded, there's a keyhole. The one that
Mhm.
is not being guarded, that's just a regular door.
Okay.
Well, Rasay will pull herself to her feet and she'll look around at the others and say, well, at least cloth glass monkey. As I suspected.
Do you walk over to that door?
Yeah, she'll walk over to the door.
That door does indeed open up, and you can tell straight away that it connects to the same room that the northeast door from the other chamber connects
Is
to.
there anything in there that looks like it might
Yes.
contain a key?
From this angle, that room to the northeast, you can see that there is a pale blue chest pushed up against one wall, glistening under its own dim light. Furthermore, in this room, you hear
You feel better now, Asfaya?
She's just staring. It doesn't even seem to register.
Let's take a 5-minute break. A few things. The door to the northeast, or the room to the northeast, which you have 2 doorways into, covered with these thick but otherwise harmless root-like tendrils on the ground, bathed in the faint blue glow of the whole place is, and of course the cotton candy smell. There's a chest, also slightly glowing, that is seeming, it almost looks like the chest is part of the wall, like it's been formed by the wall itself, but it's distinctly chest-shaped. Rasay, you have the distinct impression that your sibling is in the chest.
My sibling?
Your sibling is in the chest, Rasay. Also, in the same chamber, directly across, is another door. This door, you can see from where you're at, has the notch for a key. What do you all do?
And it just the room is just the doors and the chest. There's nothing else.
The chest, the door across, and then there's the other door, but that just goes into the central.
But there's no
chamber.
like other decor or furniture or anything like
At a
that.
glance, that's all you can see. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think Aram is less interested in treasure as much as he just wants to get out of this really gross place. So he's going to go to the door with the other notch to try and test the key out.
That one works. The key dissolves and the door opens up. It opens up to just a small, tiny little alcove. And in this little alcove, it's very quiet. Indeed, the little alcove, it seems like it almost absorbs the sound. It's so quiet. And there's a ladder, handholds for a ladder going up.
That being this weird sound dampening thing, I'm just going to like smash my cudgel on the wall to see if it like there's a sound that echoes. Or
There's a distinct muffling of the sound. Yeah. Also,
there's a
there's a vent in this room as well. The the room with the chest. You know to look for it now. You can see
Yeah.
it up above. You can hear it and see it.
Do we still hear that kind of like inhaling?
Yeah.
There's a ladder over here.
More ways up, more ways up. Hmm.
We should see what is in this first.
Why
I think-
should we? I'm getting the distinct feeling that this place is like a. It is mimicking our what we might expect to be in a wizard's tower: chests and guards and traps. But it's all wrong. It all feels wrong. I do not feel like we should open that chest.
Perhaps you are right,
Uh,
but we should go further up.
Rasay definitely wants to open that chest. It, she says out loud, the chest belongs. We we need to open it. There's something inside.
Of that I have no doubt, Rasai. But it cannot be anything good.
Say, what
Open
do
it
you
if you
do?
must.
Is it I mean, when you say sibling, it's just a sense of belonging, a sense of family, right? Not
You can
mean-
interpret it however you want. What I've
my
said
gosh.
is you sense your sibling is in the chest.
uh, he's Rasay is super confused. Just you can all see that she's heading toward the chest. I mean, she looks like she doesn't really want to, but she's doing it at the same time anyway. It's like a tentative step, pause, look at the door, tentative step, pause, look at the door, until she's standing in front of the chest. And if no one actively stops her, she's going to open it.
You put your hands where it looks like the seam of the lid is to lift it. And it does lift. It has a stickiness to it. There's a. As you pop it open. You can't see quite what's in there just looking in, Rasay. And no one can see anything because they're not nearby, but no one else can. But inside, you do hear, and only you hear, Rasay, something skittering around inside. And then you hear, it whispers to you, it says, call them over. What do you do?
At this point, the rebellion can kick in. Now that I understand what this is, what family this is from, now my history can kick in. Not the runaway Kingsguard. The I'm not doing this.
You can just close it.
I slam it shut, or I squash it shut.
Indeed. Everyone else?
She looks
Yeah.
at Esfahan and she says, she just nods her head up and down briefly.
You do well to remember that I see omens and portents, girl. It would be useful to follow my recommendations.
Then we go up.
We go up.
We go up.
You go up. You climb for a bit, 30, 40 more feet. And you end up in another one of these little kind of wedge-shaped alcoves where there's a door that automatically opens as soon as you kind of come up. And you find yourself somewhere incredibly silent. So silent, you cannot speak. Your voices make no sound. Your footsteps make no sound. It's also dark, pitch darkness stretching off in all directions, though you can see shapes in the distance, titanic shapes in the distance, moving in the darkness. The only thing you can see with any clarity across this dark expanse is a door. So it's you, dark expanse, which seems to go on in all directions forever. You can't even see the floor. And then there's a door on the other side of it. You have a new set goal. Your other set goal is still active, but this set goal is quite simply safely reach the door on the other side. You can't talk. What do you do?
Isfahan is going to reach into her bag, and rifle around a little bit, and pull out a sack of glass marbles, that she is then going to, on this like dark expanse of floor, she takes up a small handful, like reaches in maybe like 10 or so, and then like scatter, like just like throws them in front of her to let them roll and scatter against the ground to see what happens to them.
Make a hunt roll with 2 dice.
Six.
Take your token. As long as you spend all the marbles,
Oh, all of them. Okay, cool.
you can, well, as long as you do, you can do this and test the path to reach the door, because sometimes the marbles fall, sometimes they don't.
I will absolutely be doing that. I'll spend them. Absolutely.
Do you all follow Isfahan? You can see what, without speaking, you can tell what Isfahan's doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little unnerving, I'm sure, at first, because it doesn't seem like your boots are stepping on anything. Indeed, eventually you can't even see your own limbs and your own body. You can see the marbles. You can, because they move in the darkness, just like these shapes out in the void are moving. It's slow going. Very slow going. It's a trial and error process. I want to know what you're all each doing as you wait for Isfahan to do this with the marbles to slowly get you across this expanse. Let's just go around the table. Varan?
I think just trying to understand how this space can possibly fit into the tower that we saw. It seems, from what you're describing, it seems like it's too big of a space. So either the space is an illusion, or the tower is weirder than we thought. I don't think I really have any skills that make much sense here. I'll have to risk the 1 die. 5.
Take a token. It shouldn't fit here. Aram, what are you doing?
He's following behind Isfahan and the others. He's also been carrying around the body of this key master. Has it changed at all since he's been lugging the corpse around?
I mean, it's just kind of generally kind of decaying, I guess.
Got it. as long as it's not like vast, like rapidly decaying or something like
Yeah.
that.
It makes it lighter though, so that's good.
Yeah. But I think, and I don't know if maybe I can do this for a hunt roll. I have the beast ritual, and so I think what I'd like to have him do is sort of use that ritual to sort of transform his eyes to see if he can glean anything in the darkness that he wouldn't be able to see otherwise.
I don't need you to roll a ritual, but I will have you roll. I'll let you roll 2 dice for the hunt roll.
Okay. I've not rolled above the 2 this entire game. It's a 1 and a 2. You're on mute.
You all turn around at a certain point to realize Aram is no longer there. Rasay, what are you doing?
Rasay is happier than she's been in a long time. This sensory deprivation is like heaven for her. She likes it quiet. She likes it peaceful. In the dark, you can feel, see, sense everything, at least about yourself, if nothing else.
And you're getting close to Mother as well.
Oh, crap. That she doesn't like so much, but okay. She doesn't think about the then. She just thinks about the now. Well, you saved me from having to spend parse, so okay then. I was going to ask
What are you doing?
I was going to ask what the point of this peaceful space was with parse,
You
but
can make a 2-die hunt roll. There's more to learn.
okay. Before I do, I'm spending 2 of my hunt tokens for a treasure
Oh,
in this space.
we'll come to that in a moment, but go ahead and roll your hunt roll.
Will do. There's a 6.
Take a token. Your treasure. You see something floating towards you in the void, Rasay. Something getting closer. Very slowly, but it has time because the Svehan's work is slow. It's a hand. It's getting closer and closer. And eventually, it floats near you, and you realize that it's not just a hand, it's an arm. And it's not attached to anything. But it's beautifully crafted. It's made of gold and silver, with finely articulated fingers. And it's worth 2 gold.
I clasp it by the hand as if I was taking it, like as if I was shaking hands with it to pick it up, pluck it out of the air.
For Ron, because you got a 5, I have to tell you something terrible. In addition to the fact that you are correct, this space should not be possible. I will tell you that you can join Aram if you just take a single step to the left.
No, thank you.
You eventually make it to the door, minus 1 character. The door on the other side of the expanse. Good luck getting back, by the way.
Well, there's no way out back anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Indeed. The door opens up automatically, and it leads to another little alcove, just like the one you came up, and it goes higher up. Another ladder. What
It
do you do?
sounds still completely muffled.
Yep.
I think Esfand was so focused on her task, she didn't even like turn around to see that Aram is now gone. So it's when she gets like opens the door, sees the ladder, like breathes a sigh of mixed relief because she got through, turns around to look and make sure the others are following her, sees Farron, sees Rasay, and then just like her eyebrows furrow as she like, looks and then gives Farron a glimpse, questioning, and mouths the words, "Where's Aram?"
Baron just points up.
She looks at him like, no, like Aram points behind you.
Baron points down.
Her eyebrows gonna go up and she just like looks, angles. I think just as a measure, she like steps and I mean, fruitlessly, I assume she can't see anything. She just glances like, do I see anything? But
Make a hunt
probably
roll.
not. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't think I have a I don't know, interpretation.
One die will do.
Yeah, I think it will. That's a 3.
You are minus Isfahan. It is Farron and Rasay at the ladder. Isfahan disappears into the inky blackness. Farron, Rasay, do you go up?
Baron is determined at this point.
Rasay, mother awaits.
Oh God. Are we still in a space where we cannot hear each other?
Yes.
Rasay says something again and shrugs. That says something no one can hear and shrugs. And looks at Farron and then the ladder.
Baron just gives a, well, you can't tell what kind of expression because of the mask he's wearing, but just a firm point upward.
Indeed.
Rasay will follow Farron.
Aram and Isfahan. You are falling. Slowly. Down a void. You can't see anything. You're just falling in darkness. You can't hear anything. You're falling in utter silence. You can't even really feel much. There's no air blowing across your face. It is the very concept of emptiness, of stillness, that you are descending down, descending into the void, descending into the abyss. You have a new set goal. Return to the tower. You are falling. You don't see each other. You're in your own little private Idahos of existential despair. And you're falling for what feels like hours. It's maddening, I'm sure. At a certain point, it probably doesn't even feel like you're falling anymore. You're just hanging. You're just there. Maybe
Is
you're
there any
not
way
even
to try and like, oh, sorry.
maybe you're not even going down. Maybe you're going up. Who could say? I mean, I can say, but who can say? What was your question?
I'm just gonna say, since you're mentioning sort of aimlessness, is there a way that I'd be able to sort of like try and wrench myself into some sort of stability, so I feel like I'm not just like drifting aimlessly, but at least like stopping or centering myself? Or
No, but you see a hand.
Oh.
A hand getting closer and closer. And eventually it gets so close that you realize it's an arm. Not so beautiful as the one Rasay found. It's just a wooden arm, but it's beautifully rendered in what appears to be almost like a wood. And you see another. And then a leg. And then a torso. Eventually whole bodies. Wooden mannequins floating in the void. Esfehen, you're falling as well, I suppose.
One might say.
You eventually catch sight of a glow. A fire, perhaps? It definitely has the twinkle of a fire. And you realize that you can fall towards it if you wish.
Yes, absolutely.
As you get closer and closer, you realize that it's a house on a little floating rock, a little patch of earth hanging in the void. But it's a house with a chimney, with a fire inside, with smoke coming out of the chimney. Even smells, good smells, burning wood, food as you get closer.
I don't Esfand doesn't care if it doesn't make any sense or if it's running blindly into danger. This darkness, this emptiness is maddening, and she is going towards the cottage.
You break some sort of invisible nimbus where you can now hear. As you land on the ground, indeed, it's like you were just stepped out of a carriage right on the path in front of this house. You can still see the inky void all around, but you're there. And you see people inside this house, setting table for dinner, a family. What do you do?
I think she goes to watch the family like from the window, very like, cautiously trying to like she like, even her like fingers touching the house itself is like something like touching something hot because she like brushes against the stone, but like almost like reacts like she's worried she's gonna get hurt by it, but then like rests against it to like peek in.
Make a hunt roll.
I don't have an argument for any of these things. Well, there goes my hunt token. It's a 1. Oh fuck.
There are 5 people in the family. They're all setting table. They're laughing. They're behaving like a family does. They have food. They're setting the food on the table. There's a mother and a parent mother and father and 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. The kids are kind of giving each other a hard time and playing. It's a very like domestic scene, a pleasant scene. They all immediately stop what they're doing and look in the window simultaneously at you. And they say, "Come in." Do you?
Don't suppose I see anything else around the immediate vicinity, so I think against all better judgment, if it's either back out in the void or the cottage. Oh, I'm gonna go inside.
You're hit with a swirl of good smells, good feeling, good cheer hangs in the air like a miasma. And the mother says, "We've been waiting on you. Come, take a seat." Aram, you find yourself in an enormous floating mass of wooden mannequins. What is going on here? What do you do?
Now, when you say mannequin, do you mean like mannequin, like trophy mannequin, or do you mean like mannequin, like
They are just, they're not like animated. They're like
Got it.
just wooden like art
Yeah.
body dummies, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think in an attempt to try and get a little bit more control over the situation, as little of it as it might be, I'm gonna use my beast ritual to grow wings to try and be able to just at least hopefully navigate this.
Prepare yourself
Yeah.
around. You got plenty of time to do the ritual, so you can certainly do that.
Yeah. And as soon as he's able to sort of, create these wings, I imagine they're sort of like a dusty gray color, bird-like wings. But he's going to try and sort of like latch on to the mannequins and sort of use them as like a means to bounce off of to see if like either they react or if there's like a path that they all seem to be coming from, or if they're just like sort of floating nebulously.
Make a hunt roll. You can do it with 2 dice because of your transformation.
Well, at least I got a 3 this time. 1 and a 3.
You see in the center of this cloud of mannequins, there is an enormous creature, titanic in size. You're the size of its, one of its arms. It is a collection of long, spindly, spider-like legs with equally long, segmented neck and head, and it's wearing an equine skull, like a mask, this titanic spider-like creature. And it moves in the void easily and freely, and it uses its spidery forelimbs to grab one of the mannequins and gently pose it. And then it sets it floating in the cloud. And you hear it muttering to itself behind its mask. What exquisite form, so incredibly unusual. Oh, how I do wish to have a real one someday. One that is soft and pliable.
It's the opposite of incentivizing me towards going towards it.
Ferran and Rasay, you are climbing up the ladder. Let's see what you see. I gotta go find it. Very good. Goes up to a little alcove in front of the door that opens up automatically, opens up into a circular room about the same size as the room on the 3rd floor. At a glance, you see in the center of the room a large geometric structure made up of pale blue tendrils looping in and out of each other. It floats in the center of the room and rotates slowly. A steady drone emits from it. There are holes dotting the ceiling, each hole filled with pitch darkness. We will end the session there. Let's go to Stars and Wishes.
My brain hurts.
Yeah.
Same.
I wish I
Start
could have
with
done
that.
just one more thing, but I'm glad we're leaving it till next time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Big star for, I think, the fact that now we're split 3 different ways. That's really interesting, I think, and like so.
2 of them are quite a
Split.
split.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like we have absolutely no idea how it would ever be possible to get for us to get back together again. So it's going to be really fun to find out if it's possible. Yeah, I think just a star for the creepy, bizarre atmosphere of this place, and particularly the way you're presenting it, Jason, that it's just, it's pretty clear where we find ourselves, but it's very confusing in terms of trying to figure out what we can do. So yeah, for Arn, it's just all about pressing forward, pressing deeper, and destroying whatever the source of this is. Star for the I really had a good time with that combat that I got into, and kind of managed to get my way out of. I don't know. Everything else is probably repeating stars from last time, but yeah, I had a good time. Looking forward to more.
Yeah, I'm gonna star specifically because everything that's been happening in the session is sickening and it's great. I'll star Jason's sound effect for opening the chest. That popped.
It's described that way in the module, so I knew I had to like actually do it. Yeah.
That sound was great, and I hate it so much. Yeah, yeah. I really loved. I started to Merwin for the Rasay's continued use of the garbled speech, the monkey glass, whatever. It was like, I really just like that you keep leaning into that, and it was a really fun moment. But like, we're seeing kind of like, it's hilarious that Rasay started with the lowest ruin of all of us, but is having the worst time of the entire group. Basically, like you are getting the most stacked conditions and things just happening and fucking with your brain, and it's just really cool seeing you roll with the punches. I really like Star Rob to Farron's whole approach to this tower. I thought like that's just like really cool, like the idea of like the certainty of like, well, clearly the the linearity of going in this one direction is not what it wants us to do. Ipso facto, we should go that way. I like the kind of faith of Farron's I might say ill-placed determination, but I love it. And man, hey, I'm very happy that Jack and I get to keep falling off into weird places and experiencing horrific things. That situation with Steven was like terrifying, and yeah, I'm so creeped out. So wishes. I want to get back with the group. I just need to get 3 hunt tokens, I imagine, and figure out what the hell is going on, or at least glean maybe. My the big wish is I want to go buy the wizard and this module and read it right now, but I'm not going to. I'm waiting until we're done because I am in it. I want to experience it.
Yeah, that's my big wish right now too. Is like, because I've got it saved in my itch wish list, but I don't want to read it just because I want to experience it first. But I really am curious as to see like how this is broken down for a keeper, because it's wild. It's surreal in a great way, but I'm just like trying to wrap my head around everything that's happening, which is a star in itself. But yeah, just lots of weird, gross body horror, lots of like weird plays on the organic, and like even like weird food things, which always kind of gets me in a weird spot with like the candy, the cotton candy scent of like mixing it with like this weird melting flesh thing. It's wonderful. But yeah, individual stars though. Just sort of echo what Alex said about Rasay. The commitment to the bit is always always welcome, and you do it very well. And so that's been really nice. And yeah, Risse's not so good, very bad day. I'm looking forward to getting very much worse. And I don't know how it's going to get worse because this thing just keeps going into directions I can't predict, but I'm sure it's going to get bad. For Ron, there was a moment where like you got really intense and aggressive. I think it was towards Risse, but I thought that was really fun. And yeah, I really liked the scene with Esfahan and Aram down with Steven. I just had like, if anyone's ever seen The Fly 2 with the melting scene, guy ripping his face off, just that in my face, in my head, was all I could think of, and it was fantastic. So star for you, Jason, on utilizing these descriptions and really making them evocative. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what this thing that's playing with these mannequins is. I don't know what's going to do to me. I don't know what this house, his family is that this fan's with. I don't know where the other two are going. I don't know where this is going to go, but that's exciting.
I have a star for the trophy system itself, and then a star for all of us on executing on that system, which is that it doesn't matter if you're together or apart, your suffering is the same. It's not like any other group type game where when you're together collectively, things get easier. It's just as hard whether you're together or apart. And when we all like, okay, we're going to split up now. It was like, okay, we can split up. It's not going to be any worse. So to me, that's like a huge impact on the ability to actually play. You don't feel like you're tied to the group. Yeah, that's the biggest one is everybody sort of leaning into that. Yeah, there are a lot of really, really great moments. I think one of the things that I noticed, and this is the case with a couple other games that I'm running / playing, is when you have a lot of potential for problems, you have the realization of those problems. So when you start with a low ruin, you can collect more punishment. That's kind of the way the game works. Is if you start with a 5, it's like one hit and you're dead. But if you start with a 2, things just get worse and worse and worse. So the game lends itself to that, and I think again, it's kind of cool that way. And I did find the one part of Trophy where you can make other people suffer, and I didn't mean to, but when I ran away from that battle and I said, "Oh crap, Ferran's got to take my weak point," I was like, "Oh my gosh, I did not want to do that as a party player."
But there's a tactic there too, though, right? Because Ferran had armor, right? And
Right.
and the armor can absorb any amount of ruin. Like it doesn't, so it was not a bad move. It was a pretty smart move, tactically speaking.
Yeah, but as a party player, it's like I need to do my part, and I ran a. It's in Risse's nature to do that, but from a player perspective, it's horrible feeling, kind of. So yeah, but yeah, props to Ferran for sticking it out.
Yeah, I figure he's not the kind of person to back away from that type of thing. So I had to. Yeah, I would, just an additional star I would say is just for the way that Jason, you always handle splitting the party so seamlessly and like managing that spotlight. I love that. That there's no, it doesn't feel like there's any kind of restriction from us doing that when it feels like it makes sense. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, my stars. Star to Alex for pointing out an aspect of the game I never knew about. Interestingly, this is not the first time I've, like, after having played Trophy Gold for years, I've learned a new rule. So that has happened other times before. But the system is hardy enough to where it's fine. One thing I really love about Trophy, and I think this is actually probably not even, this is very much in the spirit of the OSR, but it's really in the spirit of that kind of like offshoot of OSR, that FKR, what's it called? that German, it's like this, the idea that like we have no rules at all. The GM just makes rulings. There's no rules, the GM just, it makes rulings. But in a lot of ways, Trophy is that way, right? Like as long as, like I can kind of make any kind of ruling that makes sense as long as I'm consistent with it. And I really love that. Like deciding, you know what, you don't need to roll your ritual right now. We'll just have it be part of your hunt roll or whatever, that kind of thing. Trophy is hardy enough and has that flexibility to let you do that, because as long as you're following the one ironclad rule of ruin only goes up on a dark die that's higher than your current ruin, as long as you're following that ironclad rule, the rest of it you can kind of do whatever. And I think that's a real strength of the system. So yeah, I love a trophy combat. So star for that combat with Ferran, that was really great. I love a tense combat that it's kind of going a little pear-shaped, but then someone kind of like heroically like does it. That's always fun, and Trophy is really good at that. Gold is really good at that. Obviously you can't do combat in Trophy Dark. So really loved, that was just a great scene. Yeah, I'm also quite enjoying, I really love this. I like this module a lot. Star for the module. It's I'm running it real straight. Like I've only made a couple of adjustments, and it's only because I had to kind of adjust for some of the risk roll outcomes. And also in one instance I made a mistake, and so I just changed it to cover my mistake. But for the most part, I'm running it exactly as it's written. And this is a particularly fun module to do for me because I like making gross noises and doing gross things and describing gross things. And so this like fits my GM style for dungeons at least. So I've really enjoyed that quite a bit. And I also like how this dungeon is so unpredictable. This is like such an unpredictable dungeon. Like you just don't, like it's cool because I imagine from a player standpoint, you don't really know what's going on. Like it's difficult to pin down like what's happening here. And I love that about it. But there's a logic to this dungeon. And I think that's what's so great about it. And that logic is absolutely 100% connected to the vents and the breathing. That is the key to what's happening in this dungeon. Like whenever I describe it, you hear the sound or you don't hear the sound, or whenever you have a vent and you don't have a vent, like all of that matters as far as like what is happening big picture. But even if you hadn't really like considered that, you can still just sort of wander from room to room and discover horrifying things and have it be a thing. But like that moment when you were looking at the spawn in the pool and it stopped breathing, like the breathing stopped, but then when you moved on, it continued, like that was a moment. Or like the moment when you heard the skittering and then the breathing resumed, presumably that was the thing leaving the room, the invisible thing. Like that was like part of the dungeon's logic. And so like there is this like underlying logic to the dungeon, but it's not always totally clear unless you really just sit and ponder it for a minute. But you don't have to, and you can still enjoy it and have a lot of fun with it. So I think it's really, really fun in that way. It's a fun dungeon. So yeah, I'm really excited to just, to see how this wraps up. I'm curious what's going to happen with these two characters that are floating around in the void. I'm curious what's going to happen to our two characters who are moving into the really, really like hard parts of the tower with just the two of them. So yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun to see how it shapes up. So yeah, any other stars or wishes? Okay, in that case, I'm gonna wave goodbye. Goodbye, viewers of the video.